out tonight to hear some Shakespeare? Yes. Well, my name is Laura Jenkins, and the sun is shining that way. And I've known Kurt for a long time. He's asked me to do this a few times. My next big project is Kids Ride at Burning Coal. It's very exciting. I hope everybody will come on out and see it. I'm doing sonnet number 78. It is the first in the Fair Youth Sonnet. I did read the internet to figure out what it means, as I said probably did, as if we can't just figure out 20 words.
Can you step closer to the mic?
Yes, ma'am, I can, and I can also talk that. So oft have I invoked thee for my muse, and found such fair assistance in my verse, as every alien pen hath got my use. And under thee their posy disperse, thine eyes that taught the dumb on high to sing, and heavy ignorance aloft to fly, have added feathers to the learned's wing, and given grace a double majesty. Yet be most proud of that which I compile, whose influence is thine and born of thee. In others' works thou dost but mend the style, and arts with thy sweet graces graced be. But thou art all my art, and dost advance as high as learning my rude ignorance.
My name is Lydia Sbityakov. I'll be reading Sonnet 79. Whilst I alone did call upon thy aid, my verse alone had all thy gentle grace. But now my gracious numbers are decayed, and my sick muse doth give another place. I grant, sweet love, thy lovely argument deserves the travail of a worthier pen. Yet whether thee thy poet doth invent, he robs thee of and pays it thee again. He lends thee virtue, and he stole that word from thy behavior. Beauty doth he give, and found it on thy cheek. He can afford no praise to thee, but what in thee doth live, then thank him not for which he doth say, since what he owes thee thou thyself dost pay.
My name is Weil, and I will read Sonnet 80. Oh, how I faint when I of you do right, knowing a better spirit doth use your name, and in the praise thereof spends all his might to make me tongue-tied, speaking of your fame. But since your worth, wide as the ocean is, the humble as the proudest sail doth bear, my saucy bark inferior far to his, when your broad name doth willfully appear. Your shallowest help will hold me up afloat, whilst he upon your soundless deep doth ride, or being racked, I am a worthless boat, he of tall building and of goodly pride. Then if he thrive and I be cast away, the verse was this, my love was my decay.
Hi, my name is Kasandra. I will be reading Sonnet 81. Or I shall live your epitaph to make, where you survive when I in earth am rotten. From hence your memory death cannot take, although in me each part will be forgotten. Your name from hence immortal life shall have, though I once gone to all the world must die. The earth can yield me but a common grave, when you entombed in men's eyes shall lie. Your monument shall be my gentle verse, which eyes not yet created shall o-read. And tongues to be your being shall rehearse when all the breathers of this world are dead. You still shall live, such virtue hath my pen, where breath most breathes, even in mouths of men.
Hi, I'm Kenel, and I'm going to read the Sonnet 82. I grant thou wert not married to my muse, and therefore mayest without attain or look the dedicated words which writers use of their fair subject blessing every book. Thou art as fair in knowledge as in hue, finding thy worth a limit past my praise. and therefore art been forced to seek anew some fresher stamp of time bettering days, and do so love. Yet when they have devised what strange touches rhetoric can lend, thou, truly fair word, truly sympathize, in true plain words by thy true-telling friend, and their gross painting might be better used where cheeks need blood. In thee, it is abused. 40 years ago, I was introduced to Peter Schaeffer's amazing play, Equus, in a drama as literature class at Central Connecticut State College, a play that has literally helped me spellbound ever since. And last week, NRAC, North Raleigh Arts and Creative Theater, began their 3-week run of the most daunting play I've ever been privileged to be cast. I suggest you see this amazing, mind-bending, mesmerizing tale no later than Sunday, May 7th, lest you find yourself committing grave bodily harm to self or other as a result of your bereavement over having missed this superb production of a truly must-see play.
Hi everybody, my name is MacKethan, and I will be reading Sonnet 83. I never saw that you did painting need, and therefore to your fair no painting set. I found, or thought I found, you did exceed the bare intender of a poet's debt. And therefore have I slept in your report, that you yourself, being extant, well might show how far a modern quill doth come too short, speaking of worth, what worth in you doth grow. This silence for my sin you did impute, which shall be most my glory being dumb. For I impair not beauty being mute, when others would give life and bring a tone. There lives more life in one of your fair eyes than both your poets and in praise devise.
Good evening. My name is Lucinda, or Cindy MacKethan. I'm going to read Psalm 84, but I can't read it without commenting on it because I was an English teacher at NC State for 40 years, where I taught almost 30 years ago a gentleman named Kurt Bender. Well, all I want to say about this sonnet is that if there are any gentlemen in this room who study this poem and believe that it is one of Shakespeare's rival poet sonnets, or one of the fair youth sonnets, and because of that is about a male in the species and not a woman, is dead wrong. This sonnet is about a woman. This sonnet, I think, should be read by all young women, or taught to all young women. Because if you have a daughter or granddaughter, as Kurt does, as I do, what you know is that for most young girls especially, even in this age of great feminism, they believe that they are not beautiful or worthy unless they are praised, and praised a lot. So, without further ado or lecturing, I'm sorry, I didn't 40 years on other stuff now. I will read a song. I'm also a preacher. Sonnet 84. Who is it that says most, which can say more than this rich praise that you alone are you? In whose confined myriad is the store which should example where your equal grew. Lean penury within that pen doth dwell, that to his subject lends not some small glory, but he that writes of you If he can tell that you are you, so dignifies his story, let him but copy what in you is writ, not making worse what nature made so clear. And such a counterpart shall fame his wit, making his style admired everywhere. You, being beauties, blessings, and cursed, being fond of praise, which makes your praises worse.
Good evening, I am Melanie Simmons. I will be reading Sonnet 85 in English and then in German. My tongue-tied muse in manners holds her still, while comments of your praise, richly compiled, reserve their character with golden quill and precious phrase by all the muses filed. I think good thoughts, whilst others write good words, and like unlettered clerks still cry amen to every hymn that able spirit affords in polished form of well-refined pen. Hearing you praised, I say 'tis so, 'tis true, and to the most of praise add something more. But that is in my thought, whose love to you, though words come hindmost, holds his rank before. Then others, for the breath of words respect, me for my dumb thoughts, speaking in effect. Und jetzt auf Deutsch. Sonnet 85. Desent hüllt meine Muse sich in Schweigen, dieweil sich manch lautete Eifel blüht, in goldener Schrift dein Wesen aufzuziehen, in kunstvoll formulierten Lobslied. Mit schönen Worten ehre ich dich nicht, schrei aber Amen wie ein Ministrant. Hör ich ein vom Wellen nettes Gedicht, originell und künstlich, brillant. Ich sage, wie wahr, hör ich, dass man dich ehrt und weiß sogar noch weiteres Lob zu nennen, doch Liebe ist für mich von großem Wert, als Wörter je in Anspruch nehmen können. Lass schöne Worte dir von und wenn schenken, ich aber will in Liebe an dir denken.
Good evening. Susan Font, and I'll be reading Sonnet 86.
Was it the proudful sail of his great verse, bound for the prize of all too precious you, that did my right thoughts in my brain inhearse, making their tomb the womb wherein they grew? Was it his spirit, by spirits taught to write above a mortal pitch, that struck me dead? No, neither he nor his compeers by night, giving him aid, I was astonished. He, nor that affable familiar ghost, which nightly gulls him with intelligence, as who deserve my silence, cannot boast. I was not sick of any fear from thence, but when your countenance filled up his mind, then lacked I not that inferior.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Rouphail, and I too, like Lucinda, am from the English department at NC State. I'm retired, therefore, with Lucinda, we went faculty together. So it's a pleasure to be here to see her. And I thought Sonnet 87, which is basically a breakup poem. I mean, the speaker here was saying, you know, it's not working, but maybe it's really not you, it's me. And yet, now I'm not sure I know where this Sonnet fits into different traditions that Lucinda refers to, but there's one word in here which makes me wonder whether there isn't a slight twist of the knife as he's saying, honey, really, you're just too good for me. And it's the word M-I-S-P-R-I-S-I-O-N. See, what do you mean, lawyers in here? I mean, what's that word? That's actually a crime. You can be put into prison for committing that act of misprision, which is a willful withholding of information from a crime, or its most benign definition is just basically an obtuse reading or misreading of someone's words or intentions. So using that, so you make your decision as to what you think he's really saying with all this sweet talk. He's farewell. Thou art too dear for my possessing, and like enough thou knowest thy estimate. The charter of your worth gives thee releasing. My bonds in thee are all determinate. For how do I hold thee but by thy granting? And for that riches, where is my deserving? The cause of this fair gift in me is wanting, and so my patent back again is swerving. Thyself thou gavest, thy own worth then not knowing, or me, to whom thou gavest it, or else mistaking. So great thy gift upon misprision groaning, comes home again on better judgment making. Thus have I had thee as a dream doth flatter, in sleep a king, but waking no such matter.
Hi, I'm Leonard, and I'm reading Sonnet 88. When thou shalt be disposed to set me light and place my merit in the eye of scorn, upon thy side, against myself I'll fight, and prove thee virtuous, though thou art forsworn. With mine own weakness being best acquainted, upon thy part I can set down a story of faults concealed, wherein I am attainted, that thou in losing me shall win much glory. And I, by this, will be a gainer too, for bending all my loving thoughts on thee, the injuries that to myself I do, doing thee vantage, double vantage me. Such is my love, to thee I so belong, that for thy right, myself will bear all wrong.
Talley, and I'm Kurt's granddaughter, third one. And I will be reading Sonnet 89. Say that thou didst forsake me for some fault, and I will comment upon that offense. Speak of my lameness, and I straight will halt, against thy reasons making no defense. Thou canst not love, disgrace me half so ill, to set a form upon desired change, as I'll myself disgrace, knowing thy will. I will acquaintance strangle and look strange, be absent from thy walks, and in my tongue thy sweet beloved name no more shall dwell. Lest I, too much profane, should do it wrong, and haply of our old acquaintance tell. For thee, against myself, I'll vow debate, for I must ne'er love him who thou dost hate.
Hi, everybody. My name is Joe Campo, and it is an honor to be amongst all these talented folks tonight, and a privilege to get to continue to do this after Kurt has got to know me a little bit. And I'm a Cajun from down in the swamps, Louisiana. I could say it in a Cajun accent, but I won't because I think y'all and Shakespeare all deserve better than that. But I will say that the hospital I was born in was on Magnolia Plantation, which was a sugar cane plantation that my grandparents sharecropped at and raised my mother's family. And the doctor who delivered me was named Dr. Billigo, and I think it's kind of poetic since these are all somewhat love letters to be delivered by a guy named Love Letter. My mom said he was a great guy, but something just like the ladies in New Orleans too much. But this particular one, I chose this because when it came my turn to choose, it was still there. And this one is kind of, from what I gather of it, is largely, if you gotta break my heart, go ahead and break my heart now, so that everything else will just pale in comparison. Then hate me when thou wilt, if ever. Now while the world is bent my deeds to cross, join with the spite of fortune, make me bow, and do not drop in for an afterloss. Do not, when my heart has escaped this sorrow, come in the rearward of a conquered woe. Give not a windy night or rainy morrow to Lydia our purpose overthrow. If thou wilt leave me, do not leave me last, when other petty griefs have done their spite, but in the onset come. So I shall taste at first the very worst of fortune's might, and other strains of woe, which now seem woe, compared with the loss of thee, will not seem so.
I'm Debbie Johnson. I'm doing Sonnet 91. So what I understand that Shakespeare was not really into the highfalutin stuff, and so, he preferred things to be a little bit more simple, and he wanted somebody to know that he loved them for who they were, not for who they were, kind of thing. So this one's Some Glory in Their Birth. Some glory in their birth, some in their skill, some in their wealth, and some in their body's force, some in their garments, though newfangled ill, some in their hawks and hounds, and some in their horse. And every human has its adjunct pleasure wherein it finds a joy above the rest. But these particulars are not my measure. All these I better with one general best. Your love is better than high birth to me, richer than wealth, prouder than garments cost, and of more delight than hawks and horses be. And having thee above all men's pride I boast. Wretched in this alone, that thou mayest take all this away, and me most wretched make. Shameless love, right? So I have a poetry group called Freshly Brewed Poems, and we're having an open mic this Wednesday at the Tap Yard in Raleigh. If anybody's familiar with going down Person Street and where it turns into Wake Forest and it turns into Atlantic Avenue, and then right there where the Circus Restaurant is, it's right across the street from that. So we're going to be there from 6:30. Sign up is at 6:30, and we'll be reading from 7 to 9. Really excited about this place because we're in the whiskey room, and I just think that sounds So we're going to be in the whiskey room, and I would love for you guys to come. It's a really good group of young poets doing spoken word, a lot of people doing, we have poet laureates that drop in too, it's very exciting. I see Alice in there, she's one of our members too. So yes, please come, Freshly Brewed Poems at the Tap Yard, Raleigh, Tap Yard in Raleigh, and we'll be there April 26th. I brought some little bit of cards and stuff like that, so if you want to pick up one of those. Thank you.
Good evening. First, let me apologize. I have no clue what's going on with my voice. It just started failing me today for no reason. I'm Talley. I am the daughter of Kurt, which Cindy spoke of. Jessica, who's Sonnet 89, is my daughter. And this is my other daughter, Lorelei, who is going to be on my hip while I read this, just like her big sister, Kerrigan, was on my hip years ago when it started. So I will be reading Sonnet 92. But do thy worst to steal thyself away, for term of life thou art assured mine. And life no longer than thy love will stay, for it depends upon that love of thine. When need I not to fear the worst of wrongs, when in the least of them my life hath end? I see a better state to me belongs, than that which on my humor doth depend. Thou canst not vex me with inconstant mind, since that my life on thy revolt doth lie. But what a happy title do I find! Happy to have thy love, happy to die. But what's so blessed fair that fears no plot? Thou mayst be false, yet I know it not.
Hi, my name is Talley. I am the granddaughter of Kurt. I'll be reading Sonnet 93. So I shall live, supposing through archery, like a deceived husband, so love's face may still seem to love me. Though altars new, thy looks with me, thy heart and other place. For there can live no hatred in deny. Therefore, that I cannot know thy change. In many looks, the false heart's history is writ in moods, and frowns and wrinkles strange. But heaven in thy creation did decree that in thy face sweet love should ever dwell. Greater thy thoughts or thy heart working be, thy looks should nothing thence but sweetness tell. How like Evie's apple doth thy beauty grow its sweet virtue answered not thy shout.
Hello, I'm Dierdre Shipman, and I'm reading Sonnet number 94. They that have the power to hurt and will do none, that do not do the thing they most do show, who, moving others, are themselves as snow, unmoved, cold, and to temptation slow. They rightly do inherit heaven's graces, and husband nature's riches from expense. They are the lords and owners of their faces, others but stewards of their excellence. Excuse me. The summer's flower is to the summer sweet, though to itself it only live and die. But if that flower with base infection meet, the basest weed outbraves his dignity. For sweetest things turn sourest by their deeds. Lilies that fester smell far worse than weeds.
Well, hello to everybody. It's good to be back here in person. I'm going to be reading number and derived. My name is Usatch-Kuhn. How sweet and lovely dost thou make the shame, which, like a canker in a fragrant rose, doth spot the beauty of thy budding name. Oh, in what sweets dost thou thy sins enclose? That tongue that tells the story of thy days, making lascivious comments on thy sport, cannot dispraise, but in a kind of praise, naming thy name, blesses an ill report. Oh, what a mansion have those vices got, which for their habitation close out be, where beauty's veil doth cover every blot, and all things turns to fair that eyes can see. Take heed, dear heart, of this large privilege. The hardest knife ill used doth lose his edge.
I'm still Melanie Simmons. I chose this sonnet because when I arrived here, Kurt asked me to. So I will be reading this only in English. I lived in Germany for a few years when I was a kid, and I'm fairly fluent in what I call Kinderdeutsch, 8-year-old German. The sonnets are full of lovely, beautifully embellished adult German words that I prefer to practice ahead of time, so I don't butcher them. So, without further ado, this is 96 in English. Some say thy fault is youth, some wantonness. Some say thy grace is youth and gentle sport. Both grace and faults are loved of more and less. Thou makest false graces that to thee resort. As on the finger of the throned queen, the basest jewel be well esteemed, so are those errors that in thee are seen, to truths translated, and for true things deemed. How many lambs might the stern wolf betray, if like a lamb he could his looks translate? How many gazers might thou lead away, if thou wouldst use the strength of all thy state? But do not so. I love thee in such sort as, thou being mine, mine is thy good report.
Good evening, my name is Roger Kenel, and I am doing sonnet number 97. How like a winter hath my absence been from thee, the pleasure of the fleeting year. What freezings have I felt, what dark days seen, what old December's bareness everywhere. And yet this time removed was summer's time, the teeming autumn big with rich increase, bearing the wanton burden of the prime, like widowed wombs after their lord's decease. Yet this abundant issue seemed to me but hope of orphans and unfathered fruit. For summer and his pleasures wait on thee, and thou away the varied birds are mute. Or if they sing, 'tis with so dull a cheer that leaves look pale, dreading the winter's near.
Hi, I'm Cora Hemphill. This is Sonnet 98. From you have I been absent in the spring, when proud-pied April, dressed in all his trim, hath put a spirit of youth in everything, that had he Saturn laughed and linked with him. Yet nor the lays of birds, nor the sweet smell of different flowers in odor and in hue could make me any summer story tell, or from the crowd that welcome where they grew. Nor did I wonder at the lilies white, nor praise the deep vermilion in the rose. They were but sweet figures of delight, drawn after you, ye pattern of all things. Yet seemed it winter still, and you away, as with your shadow I with these did play. name is Cora, and I'm a producer at Firehouse Theater Company in Wake Forest. I wanted to let you know I'm directing two one-acts coming up, The Dumbwaiter by Harold Pinter and Poof by Lynn Nottage. And they open June 15th and run for 2 weekends, Thursday through Sunday. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to say that it is a bit of nostalgia being back here. I've been here 2 years. When I was here, this is when I first met Kurt in person. I was performing Geneva in the stage play, I believe, right back there. So it's a little bit of nostalgia. My name is Shawna Fitzgerald, and I'll be reading Sonnet 99. Before violet thus did I chide, sweet thief, whence didst thou steal thy sweet that smells? And not from thy love's breath, the purple pride, which on thy soft cheek for complexion dwells. In my love's veins, thou hast too grossly died. The lily I commend from thy hand, and buds of marjoram has stolen thy hair. The roses fearfully on thorns did stand, one blushing shame, another white despair. A third, no red, no white, had stolen the both, and to his robbery had annexed thy breath. But for his thief and pride of all his growth, a vengeful canker ate him up to death. More flowers I noted, yet none could see, but sweet or color it has stolen from thee. Shameless plug. You can find me in Greensboro, North Carolina. I'll be performing both Nadine and Adele in the Fierce and Fabulous stage play that is production is Pemberton Productions. Also, you can find me in Fuquay Marina. I am doing understudy for Sarah in Brain Stemology's, oh gosh, it went through that fast. Freedom from What? It is a Juneteenth celebration. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michael Sturrock, and I will be reading Sonnet 100. Where art thou, Muse, that thou forgetst so long, to speak of that which gives thee all thy might? Spendest thou thy fury on some worthless song, darkening thy powers to lend base subjects light? Return, forgetful Muse, and straight redeem, in gentle numbers, time so idly spent. Sing to the ear that doth thy lays esteem, and gives thy pen both skill and argument. Rise, breasty Muse, my love's sweet face survey. If time have any wrinkle graven there, if any, be a satire to decay, and make time spoils despised everywhere. Give my love fame faster than time wastes life, so thou prevents his scythe and crooked knife.
Hi, my name is Kelly Buynitsky, and just a little side note here, I'm a public school teacher, and I'm proud to say that the arts in the public schools is what actually brought me back into the theater, A, and B, brought me here to be working with Kurt for several years. My sons came in and they did this for several years, I joined them, and so I am still continuing to do it, although my sons have now gone on and done their own thing now. So, O truant Muse, what shall be thy amends? For thy neglect of truth and beauty died. Both truth and beauty on my love depends. So dost thou too, and therein dignify. Make answer, Muse. Will thou not happily say, truth needs no color with his color fixed, beauty no pencil, beauty's truth to lay. But best is best if never intermixed. Because he needs no praise, wilt thou be dumb? Excuse not silence so, for it lies in thee, to make him much outlived a gilded tomb, and to be praised of ages yet to be.
I'll be reading Psalm 102. My love is strengthened, though more weak in seeming. I love not less, though less the show appear. That love is merchandise whose rich esteeming the owner's tongue doth publish everywhere. Our love was new, and then, but in the spring when I was wont to greet it with my lays, as Philomel in summer's front doth sing, and stops her pipe in growth of riper days. Not that the summer is less pleasant now than when her mournful hymns did hush the night, but that wild music burthens every bough, and sweets grown common lose their dear delight. Therefore, like her, I sometime hold my tongue, because I would not dull you with my song.